Hi everyone, this is Beth Sager and I'm here with my friend.
Ed Grable.
Yes, we're both at Keller Williams Boston Northwest. Ed sort of handles Arlington and beyond, and I'm in Lexington.
I think, don't be bashful. You handle a little Arlington too,
Sometimes.
so
I love
yeah,
Arlington.
for
I used
sure.
to live in Arlington
Did
for
you
many
really?
years. Yeah, I
I
love
didn't know that.
Arlington. Yeah, I lived on Morningside Drive, and I lived on what is the nice street in the Heights, the long one?
Jason Street, Gray
Yeah,
Street.
Gray Street. But I
Yeah.
always say I lived on the poor man's end of Gray Street, up at the top.
I mean, there's a poor man's end of
Well,
Gray Street.
not anymore, not anymore. But at one point, in a smaller house, I loved that. That was my favorite.
It's smaller
house.
houses at the top end of Gray. Yeah, I agree.
loved that house. That was my favorite house, and I've lived in like 4 houses in the past 15 years.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, that was my favorite house.
I think my house count in the last 20 years is 3, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Condo in Somerville, single family in Arlington, and another single family in Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I started out with a 2-family in Wakefield. Then we went to Gray Street, and then we went to Morningside Drive, and now we're here. Every time I had a kid, we got a bigger
Prompt
house.
to move.
Yeah, we need a bigger house. Need a bigger yard. Now we have a yard. None of the kids ever play in the yard, so I'm not really sure. But the dogs love the yard, so
Oh, that's important too.
Yeah.
Dogs need to play.
they need to play.
Right.
So, it's true.
Absolutely. So Beth, we're in 2025. We've got a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in the country. And what does it all mean to real estate? If you had a crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen with real estate in 2025?
Well, I thought we were going to have a super banner year until that jobs report came out last week, and then it just put the woo on interest rates.
That jobs report was good, but it was a disaster for mortgage rates. So
Disaster.
I think most of us were all thinking that we were going to get a little reduction in that rate as the year went on, but most economists and most real estate agents that I know of are forecasting that, hey, we're kind of stuck with these higher rates this year, and we need to make the best of it. And one of the things that's going to help you as a consumer or as somebody that's thinking about buying or selling this year is working with somebody like Beth or myself, who's been in this market for quite a while. We understand the ins and outs of the market, but we also, and more importantly, especially if you're a seller, we understand how to price property and how to price property properly and how to price it to sell without leaving money on the table and maximize the value for sellers as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, but I do want to say one thing about interest rates. Basically, in the last 50 years, 7% is the average rate.
Oh, yeah.
So, when you had a 3% rate, that was the abnormal part, not the 7%. 7% is completely normal. And I feel like people are sort of adjusting to that and understanding also they can do an adjustable rate mortgage, in the hopes that when they go down, that they can, recoup a lower interest rate. Pricing. It's interesting. So I've been on several listing appointments where people are saying, oh, well, I've seen housing prices go down. And I thought, I said, what you're seeing is people who are not priced properly. So if they're sitting on the market for more than 20 days, or let's face it, more than 10 days, you haven't priced your house properly, and therefore your prices are coming down and down. And those are the houses that people see because, if you're not in the market on a regular basis like we are, where we're checking MLS every day and understanding, 5 houses came on the market, 4 came off in a week's time because they were priced properly, and you look at what's left over.
Yeah.
I call them the dogs of the market, right? Like the ones that are just not priced properly, and I feel bad for those
You're a
sellers.
dog person, aren't you,
I
Beth?
am a dog person.
Okay.
So, but I mean that in a derogatory sense, and yet I love dogs. So, but I feel like people who don't price properly end up getting less for their house in the long run.
I agree with you
sure.
100% there. I think one of the things that really keeps the local market strong, and is, we've had this problem for quite a while, is just really there's a lack of housing in the area. So there's always going to be demand. Just because you don't get 20 offers on your house, it doesn't mean it's a bad market. It might take you, if we're pricing the property correctly, which we usually do, It might take a week to sell your house. You might get one offer. You might get two. You might even get three. But 20 is a little much
Right.
for this market. So I think we see this being a very busy spring again. We don't see it being crazy like it's been in years past. Certainly, we see inventory getting a little bit better.
I hope so.
For sure. I mean, if you look at inventory, if you look at it countrywide, there's a lot of inventory out there in other parts of the country, just
Right.
nothing here locally in the, Arlington, Cambridge,
Right.
Lexington, Belmont areas. There's just nothing out there right now. I think I took a look yesterday, and I think there were 3 single families on the market in Arlington.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That is really crazy.
Usually it's like clockwork. January 2nd, houses hit the market.
Right,
Things
right.
start getting a little bit better. This year, maybe there's it's a little cold out. Maybe we haven't thawed out.
The buyers are out there, though. I know
They are.
Kyle on my team, he's put 3 deals together with buyers, right? Like,
Well, that's
I mean,
because Kyle's amazing.
Well, he is
So,
amazing, but even still, the buyers are ready to buy. So
Yeah.
we just need the sellers to show up. And I feel like they've waited on the sidelines long enough, right? So if you were waiting because you thought, oh, I don't want to go into a 7%, if I downsize or an upsize, I think they're getting ready to realize, you know what, we're going to have to, right? Like, we can't sit on the sidelines forever. We need to do what we need to do. We have an extra kid. Who knows what the reasons are, but
And let's face it, Beth. I mean, 3% and 2.5% mortgage rates were unheard of, and really, I think, and maybe you agree with me that rate is a once in a lifetime rate. So it's not coming back. So we should get used to rates being a little bit higher. So
I agree.
I
mean, I feel like the only reason we had those rates is because of our financial crisis, and basically, the government was printing money and saying, "Yep, you know what? We're just going to hold those rates down so we can get through this."
Yeah.
But that's not real, and that's actually what kind of caused our inflation. So then, it's the chicken and the egg, and it's circular, and
I mean, if I'm hearing what you're saying, Beth, it's I think what it boils down to is we don't have a crystal ball on what's going to happen with the housing market in 2025, but from all indications, barring some major catastrophe with the economy or with the country, or which, who knows, something may happen, but we think it's still going to be really a bang-up spring, a busy spring. We don't expect it to be insane or crazy, but
Yeah.
it's going to be busy. And
there was about 10 different organizations, like from Zillow to Fannie Mae, that basically said on average they feel like the market's going to go up 2.9%.
okay,
So not crazy, not enough to stay off the sidelines, buyer or seller, in my mind, right? So
well, you know what? I mean, I think we both have buyers that have sat on the sidelines waiting for rates to adjust, things to change, and how much has the market increased? If you had a buyer that decided to sit on the sidelines 3 or 4 years ago and wait for rates to come back, what's the delta? What's the increase in the market?
it's at least 35%. I mean, we've had a couple of clients who did that, and then they finally jumped in, and it's like, oof. And in 2000 and whatever, 22, whatever, they were like, oh, we're going to wait for it to go down. We're going to wait for the market to go down. 21, yeah, they waited for a long time.
Yeah.
And, not smart,
Well-
especially if you're renting, right? Like, then you're just throwing away your money. So,
I agree with you. And I think historically, real estate has been one of the best investments over time. If you're going to buy a house and live in it a year or two and then sell it, maybe not the best thing to do. But if you're going to buy a house, live in it at least 5 years or so, and hold on to it long term, it's a great investment. They're not making more land,
no, they're not.
at all. So
That's true.
yeah,
Well, let's see. Let's see what happens.
let's see what happens to 2025.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking forward to it.
yeah, thank you for your time, folks.
Yeah.